A long, long time ago in the land of Israel, something heartbreaking was happening. The people had turned away from God again. They worshipped idols, ignored his commands, and followed their own ways. So, God allowed a powerful enemy, the Philistines, to rule over them. But even when people are unfaithful, God never forgets his promises. In a quiet village, far from the noise of battle, a woman who couldn't have children was met by a shining figure, an angel of the Lord. "You will give birth to a son," the angel said. "He must never drink wine, never eat anything unclean, and never cut his hair. He is to be set apart for God from the very beginning. Through him, God will begin to rescue Israel from the Philistines." The woman and her husband believed God. And just as promised, she gave birth to a baby boy named Samson. As Samson grew, the Spirit of God began to stir in him. He became strong, incredibly strong. But Samson's strength wasn't just for show. It was part of God's great rescue plan. Samson grew into a mighty warrior, a one-man army. One time, while walking through the countryside, a young lion jumped out to attack him. But Samson grabbed it and ripped it apart with his bare hands, as if it were just a goat. Another time, using nothing but the jawbone of a donkey, Samson defeated 1,000 Philistine soldiers who came to arrest him. The people were in awe, cheering for their mighty hero. But even though Samson had great power, he struggled with something deep inside, his heart. He often followed his emotions, his desires, and what he wanted, instead of listening to God. One day, Samson fell in love with a beautiful woman named Delilah. But there was a problem. Delilah was a Philistine, from the very nation oppressing God's people. The Philistine rulers saw an opportunity. They went to Delilah and whispered, "Find out the secret of his strength. If you help us capture him, we'll reward you richly." So Delilah began asking, "Samson, tell me, what makes you so strong?" At first, Samson played with her. He gave her false answers, telling her lies. And each time, Delilah would try the trick, only to discover his strength remained. But she didn't stop. Day after day she asked. Night after night she pressed him. She cried, she pouted, she pleaded. Finally, worn down and tired, Samson gave in. "My strength comes from God," he said. "I've never cut my hair. If it's shaved, I'll become as weak as any other man." That night, as Samson slept, Delilah called in the Philistines. While he lay unaware, they cut off all his hair. When he awoke, he didn't even realize that God's strength had left him, captured him, and gouged out his eyes. They threw him in prison, where he was forced to grind grain like an animal. Samson, the mighty warrior, was now blind, broken, and alone. But even in the darkness, God was still at work. As Samson sat in prison, his hair began to grow again. But more importantly, his heart began to grow closer to God. He realized his mistakes. He remembered his purpose. He turned back to the one who gave him strength in the first place. One day, the Philistines held a massive festival in their temple. Thousands gathered to praise their false god, Dagon. They brought Samson out as entertainment, to laugh at him, mock him, and celebrate his fall. But Samson whispered a prayer in his heart. "Lord God, remember me. Please strengthen me one more time." With help from a young servant, Samson was led to the two great pillars that held up the temple. He placed one hand on each. Then, with all the power he had left, he pushed with everything he had. The pillars shook, the walls cracked, and the massive temple came crashing down, killing the Philistine lords and thousands more. In his final moment, Samson defeated more enemies than he had in his entire life. God had used him, even in his weakness, to bring deliverance to his people. Samson had great strength, but also great weakness. He made mistakes. He followed his own desires and trusted the wrong people. But when he turned back to God, God still forgave him. God still used him. And here's what we can learn. True strength doesn't come from muscles or power. It comes from trusting God. Even when we mess up, God can redeem our story. He can give us a new beginning. So remember, no matter what your past looks like, God can still do something amazing through your life, just like he did with Samson.